right, my friends. Happy new moon in Capricorn to you. Aaron here bringing your daily horoscope for the 12th/13th of January 2021. We have a new moon in Capricorn at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So it makes more sense to talk about this new moon as we're ending our night with it and we're leading up, right? The entire day is leading up to this new moon at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Only 1 degree away from Pluto, which is about transformation, right? Transformation, government, death and destruction. Capricorn is government. Pluto is death and destruction. Our sun is a representation of our physical body showing up. The hero of our story. Where are we on our journey, right? And the moon, of course, representing our emotional needs. Earth's natural satellite stays close to home, the moon that we surrender to. We don't always show our emotional side to every person. And especially when we're in the sign of Capricorn, you know, we kind of put our emotions on the shelf in a sense and say there's work to get done. And now the moon and the sun are working together, and our emotional need and our embodiment of our physical souls, our physical beings, showing up and working together saying we're going in this direction. And nothing stops the Capricorn goat from getting to the top of the mountain, right? Nothing stops those playful little goats to getting to their destination, okay? So this is very, very powerful energy for us, new moon, new beginning. You know, if we've been slacking this first week and a half on our New Year's resolutions, you know, it's an arbitrary day, New Year's resolution. But this is about commitment, okay? And 23 degrees of Capricorn is about commitment. And not only is it about commitment, but it's about commitment to like a convent or a monastery or something like this, to where it's like an unconventional form of government, okay? Where we can look around us and say, I don't agree with these particular set of rules or this particular way that how people are working within the city environments or how we're governing ourselves. So I'm going to remove myself from these individuals or this place or this thing, and then join almost a society or a group of people that believe in the same sort of higher values or higher sense of myself. Okay, so that doesn't mean we're all going to run away and you know, become nuns or join a monastery or something like that. But maybe we're creating something, and that's the beauty about Pluto and death and destruction in this aspect of Capricorn to our government and how we're governing ourselves. Okay, I know an individual, a couple of individuals, excuse me, that you know, the homeschool thing. It's like they have the choice of sending their kids to school or homeschooling. And this one mother that I know, and she says, we've decided to take all of our kids out of the school for fear of these. Now, a school is also a government building, right? Our taxes pay for these schools. So it's technically a government building and government workers, okay? And depending on what tax dollars that we have to pay and fund these schools depends on the chemicals they're using to spray these desks, to spray the cafeteria tables that our children are sitting at, right? I don't have a child, but you know what I'm saying. The skin is the largest organ of the body. Anyway, these causes respiratory issues, causes fertility issues in children and people in general. You can look this stuff up and fact check it online. It's 100% accurate. So out of not agreeing with how the government officials, right, how it's being run, systematically being run for fear of the health of children, because it's all of, you know what I mean? It's like fear of health for sake of health. It's a really strange time right now. And how we're dealing is, it's like, well, I care about you, I want you to be safe. I care about you, I want to be safe, so I'm going to take away your freedoms. I care about you, I want to be safe, so I'm using these chemicals which can be more harmful than potentially the virus that we're trying to protect ourselves from, or the dirt, or the bacteria. It's like we need healthy bacteria, you know. I don't want to get too much on that, but the sense is these individuals have said, we're going to create our own school, right? The kids named the school. All right, so it's just like, and now these parents are working together to create a curriculum, you know, and how to help teach these kids in a different way than what society has to offer at the moment, right? So it's a perfect example of who we are and where we are in this particular time and where we're going, right? Let me show you. I didn't even show you the chart yet. So here's our moon and sun at 23 degrees. Look at it. I mean, it's right smack dab at midnight, you know, on Eastern Standard Time. So my friends, you know, you'll be feeling this different times of the day throughout the 12th into the 13th. I mean, but this is powerful. And we still have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all still within a conjunction. Okay? And this is about future, and this is about community. And we must look at that Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn. So we have what we value how we're being governed, and that's creating this big shift here to Uranus and to Mars. We talked about this yesterday on the 11th video. What we value and having to shift these values. And in a sense, this security, the umbrella of security that the outside authority is offering us is really not a secure blanket that I want to stick my head under. I don't want to rest under that blanket, right? And many people feel this way as well, where some people are like very thankful for that blanket. There's no judgment on my end, it's just this is the way the world is going. And when we have this Saturn squaring Uranus, this is the divide of people that we're going to see. As there is and understand, again, there's no judgment on my end. I just read the planets, and this divide of human beings, because there's going to be a huge rush of people that are like, vaccinate me, running with their arm out. They've already got it tied up, let's go. And then there's going to be a handful of other people, much more than a handful, that are saying, get that needle away from me. There's no way. And the important thing is to recognize that we're both right. Both sides of this coin are absolutely right. The people that want that and the people that don't want it. And it's important that when we're moving through this, because this square is the difficulty that I see. It's between humanity. It's the future of humanity versus using new technologies versus a natural homeopathic way of living, a sense of freedom on one hand, a freedom to choose or to die at will. You know what I mean? Not die. Well, don't make it sound sinister, or I don't mean to make it sound sinister, or in that sense. But like, I would rather be a free, sovereign individual than to give up my rights, and do these things. And then there's this other group of people that are like, "What is wrong with you? Of course I want this, and of course this is a better future for all of us." And it's important right now that we kind of respect both sides, right? An artist I really enjoy, he said, is it a live event? He said, it's not the left, it's not the right, it's not the red, it's not the blue. It's ignorance that is your enemy, and it is our ignorance that is our own enemy. And how do we prepare for this? It's a new beginning, a new government, a new way to govern ourselves. And we don't have to agree with everybody's point of view. It's up to us to go our own way, which is the beauty of the North Node in Gemini right now. We have the option to look at both sides of the coin. Okay? I want to hear your side of the story on why you want to be vaccinated. I want to hear your side of the story why you don't want to be vaccinated. I don't want to be completely impartial. I mean, I don't want to interject my opinion onto what you're saying, because I want to hear it. I want to know both sides so that I can myself make my own decision and opinion, right? And then collectively, we're going to decide to move in whichever direction that we makes sense for us, okay? So there's going to be a bit of a divide in how we choose to govern ourselves. And further, it's how we're choosing to commit to our lives, right? And if we know that, hey, certain, I'm just kind of sticking with this chemical thing right now, is that there's certain chemicals that we're going to be using on a daily basis. If these chemicals are going to cause more harm to us, does it make more sense to switch to something else? Again, it's not about a chemical thing, it's just using it as an example. It's about committing to something, committing to a lifestyle, committing to a change, committing to governing ourselves in a different way that we have been, because the old way is no longer working, right? Or something about the old way wasn't working. It doesn't mean we've been living life wrong. It doesn't mean we've been doing something wrong or we're getting slapped on the wrist by the universe. This is just saying, hey, human beings, we have an opportunity to create a new. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day, and it still is an empire that fell. Okay? The world that we know right now is an empire that's falling. And we get to recreate a new one together, And it's just important that we kind of try to respect each other's beliefs and views at the same time, because there is a right in every wrong and a wrong in every right, the yin to the yang, and governing ourselves in that sense of authority. And our own position of authority, it says, okay, you have, you're a sovereign being that believes they can do and say what they need and think what you think. Okay? So this is the majority of this day, is all about this new moon. I mean, it's all about reestablishing not only how we govern ourselves, but how we're governing and the community at large. And that's what Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury have dealing with this, because it's like, all right, we're figuring out what's the next steps in human evolution. What's the next steps in 2021? What's the next steps in coronavirus outbreak? What's the next step in education? What's the next step into getting back to work? What's the next step in, are we going to go out to restaurants? And same thing. These restaurants going to be using more chemicals, and now we're breathing this stuff in. So it's just like, okay, maybe it's time to commit to cooking more, changing something about our daily lives, right? I mean, that's it. And again, please use those analogies in any way that makes sense for you. And of course, Mars still creating that trine to Venus, moving forward and creating the tower. This is, we've set up all the dominoes. They've been set up, and now this is Mars coming to Uranus, pushing it over. And Venus is right there saying, I no longer value the structure of how these dominoes have been set up. It's time for a new game. Okay, my friends? And it's gonna be a lot of work rebuilding. But that's where we're at in life right now. Rebuilding how we govern ourselves and the government at large. Have a happy new moon. I love you. I wish you enough. And we'll see you tomorrow.